So years of talk about expanding NATO into Ukraine, and we've watched those happen in public, that had nothing whatsoever to do with Russia invading Ukraine, nothing at all. That's what they tell us. Putin invaded Ukraine because he's bad, end of conversation. And anyone who says otherwise, anyone who suggests there might be a way out of this disaster short of total war, anyone who says that is immediately denounced as a tool of Russian propaganda.
How anybody in this country, which loves freedom, can side with Vladimir Putin, which is an oppressor, a dictator. He kills people. He imprisons his political opponents. He has been an adversary of America at every chance he's had. It's unthinkable to be. It's almost treasonous.
Ooh, almost treasonous. Siding with Putin. Who's siding with Putin? I haven't seen anybody do that.
That is a great question, Tucker Carlson. I'm glad you asked that. Who would side with? I've never seen anybody say they would side. Who's siding with Putin or with Russia? Well, how quickly we forget the positions we stupidly take, Tucker. Take a look at this mashup.
We have Republicans who are rooting for Russia, and that makes it very hard for President Biden to get the whole country to go along when Donald Trump, Mike Pompeo, and Tucker Carlson are rooting for Russians, and that's being replayed on Russia TV to rally Russians for this cause.
You know, it's such an awful thing to say. We hesitated even to play that. It's very common. You hear it every day. The question is, why are they saying that? It doesn't make sense.
Flashback.
But is there another reason we should side with Ukraine over Russia? Russia is a much more significant country by every measure. Why is it disloyal to side with Russia, but loyal to side with Ukraine? They're both foreign countries that don't care anything about the United States. China, which is the actual threat. Why would we take Ukraine's side? Why wouldn't we be on Russia's side? I'm totally confused. So much. Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? Has he shipped every middle-class job in my town to Russia? I should say, for the record, I'm totally opposed to these sanctions, and I don't think that we should be at war with Russia. And I think we should probably take the side of Russia if we have to choose between Russia and Ukraine. That is my view. But Ukraine and Russia. And I'm serious. Like, why do I tell you why? And why shouldn't I root for Russia, which I am?
Which I am. Let that echo through your mind. I'm not even talking to the audience right now. I'm talking to Tucker. You're the one who said that, by the way. And as you can probably tell, that is not just what he's been saying recently. This is his commentary for a couple of years. Some of those videos are a couple of years old. He has regularly, for years, said if there is a conflict, military or economic, between Russia and Ukraine, first of all, why would you side with Ukraine? But he goes beyond that and says, no, I would side with Russia. So he has repeatedly told his audience that it makes more sense to side with Russia. He is siding with Putin. Now he looks around at a country that is reacting with horror at the invasion that they're seeing, this terrible, unprecedented invasion of Ukraine. And he's suddenly wishing that maybe he'd communicated a little bit differently about that. I get that. I would be horrified if I'd said the things that Tucker Carlson did. Thankfully, I try to ground my political commentary in actual values and compassion. He floats with the wind, and sometimes the wind stinks. Anyway, we have a little bit more, just in case you think that he's really changing his position. Not so much, as you'll see.
In a single day last month, we watched, for example, our entire professional class dutifully change their Twitter avatars from mask up to the now mandatory Ukrainian flag. There was no debate about doing this, no reflection. There was not even a real conversation. They just did it. Millions of people simply assumed reflexively a partisan position in a highly complicated foreign crisis, the next crisis. And as they did it, they moved in perfect lockstep. They were guided by their masters at the social media companies who were themselves taking direction from the White House.
Yeah. So that first video we showed you before, that was from 2 nights ago. Well, how dare you say that I would side with Putin or with Russia? And we've shown that that's not true. He very much did. The last video we just showed you, that was last night. He's right back to it. Why would you be siding with Ukraine? Don't accuse me of siding with Russia. Now, here are all the reasons why you showing any solidarity with a country that is experiencing an absolutely barbaric invasion, chock full of war crimes, you're being ridiculous if you're doing that. And I think that for once he's kind of being honest. The idea that we would have a problem with this, he would look and see that this war is not popular. He doesn't like that at all. He chafes at it. Now he grounds it in these insane claims of everyone doing it in lockstep. It's not that they're actually expressing their political values. They're just being partisan or whatever. He's claiming that any of his concerns are questions you're not allowed to ask, when, as we've shown in these clips, he feels perfectly comfortable night after night after night after night asking these sorts of questions. What he doesn't seem to get, and he certainly doesn't like to the extent that he recognizes it, is that people do not agree with him on this. They are not buying the Russian talking points. They're opposed to this war. Get used to it, Tucker.